Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Troy with Sickle Bros. In today's video, we are doing an unboxing, setup, and review of the AI Prime 16. This has been one of my favorite aquarium lights for many years, but I'm going to give kind of the pros and cons of this light and see if it's right for you. So let's dive right in. So the AquaIllumination Prime 16 here is more of a puck style light versus the traditional LED strip lights, but it does provide some benefits, which I'm going to talk about in today's video. Also, I just wanted to note that this video is not sponsored. AquaIllumination does not even know I'm making this video, but if you see me on the channel, I have used this light in so many aquarium setups for 6-7 years even, and I've really enjoyed this the most out of any aquarium light, and I'll talk about that more throughout the video. So we're going to start off here doing a quick unboxing of what you would get if you ordered this. So this is the Freshwater Prime 16. They also make the saltwater version, which I've also used. And when you open up the box here, pretty straightforward. You have the light on top, and you can see it has a kind of a heating fan, or a cooling fan I mean, on top right here with the AI logo. And then here you can see the LEDs, and it's in that puck style lighting I was talking about with the different LEDs within it. And then you can see it says download the app, so it is app controllable. This one here, the Connect My AI, actually is a pretty terrible app, but they just came out with Mobius, which I'll talk about in a minute, on how to set up the light and the app, and it's a way better app to control this thing, so that's definitely a benefit. And then also in the box, of course, you have the power cords. So you just connect this into the power block and then into the light. So it's a pretty long cord, which is good because sometimes these lights need to hang pretty high up above the tank, so the extra cord length is definitely a good thing. And also it comes with a startup guide here, which really is not that difficult. I will show that throughout the process. So the next step is to figure out how you're going to install this above your aquarium, and this is totally up to you, and it's very customizable. You could use the L bracket arm, which hangs over the tank, and you can slide it back and forth or up and down. This is actually how Alec has his AI Prime set up on a 75-gallon Mbuna tank. You could also use the gooseneck arm, which is probably my favorite option because it's very easy to install. You just screw it on the back top of your tank, and you can easily move it around, but it also is firm enough that it will stay in place. And then there's also the hanging kit option, which I just did on my 40-gallon breeder tank. I love the dynamic and look whenever it's just hanging, and this could be from any length hanging down from the ceiling, so it's a really cool option. It definitely provides kind of a dynamic to the tank that you don't always get. And this will all use the hole in the back of the light, so you could actually find ways to DIY this if that's what you want. Kind of a downside of all these options is that they're highly customizable, so it's a bit difficult to figure out the hanging kit and the L bracket arm, but once you do, it's well worth it. But you also have to pay extra for some of those brackets and mounting systems. So once you have it installed over the tank and you have it plugged in, it is time to download the app. You can either use the My AI app, which I wouldn't really recommend, or you could use the Mobius app, which I'm going to go in and show you some of the benefits of using that app. So if you download the Mobius app, you can see that all the lights, all the AquaIllumination lights or Ecotex, they're all right here. It's all in one app, which I love. It's another reason I just keep getting AI lights. But using the Lake Tanganyika tank as an example, where I hung the light over my 40-gallon breeder, you can click in there and you can see I titled it Lake Tanganyika. And if you needed to, you could go to devices and click that right there, and you can add in your new device. It may install some updated firmware for about 5 minutes, and then you should be good to go. But you can see right there in the app, you can click on it, and you can right there easily change the time settings that the light is on. So right now I have it for about 9 hours from 12 to 9 p.m. And then you could also use the template, so you can click on some other people's light settings. You could also go to user, and you go to schedule builder. This is actually the light settings I currently have on the Lake Tanganyika tank. You could see the settings are very low in terms of percent, so 38% white, 14% cool white, 22% blue, and I found that that looks really cool for this Lake Tanganyika tank. So if I had like a big planted tank and I needed a lot of light, I could just turn up any of these very easily and set the time. Super simple, and you could toy around with the percents and all the different combinations to get what you want. And if you ever wanted to, you could also share your light settings with a friend through the app, which is really cool. So then if I go into my 20-gallon tank, I have a separate AquaIllumination light, which is actually on the gooseneck hanging kit. And then you can go in the lighting, you can see I have it a little bit different here. because I was filming this tank earlier today, so I had to change the light schedule to turn on earlier in the day. But I will just easily set this back to kind of my normal schedule around 1 to 9 p.m., which is kind of how I have all my tanks set up. So next, let's go through the pros and cons of this light, why I think it's my favorite aquarium light, why it's not my brother Alex's favorite light, just giving as fair of a review on this as we possibly can. So first off, I know that this is a high budget aquarium option. It's one of the higher end lights on the market, but it is also not as expensive as, say, the Kessels behind me or the Radions. It's actually a little bit less than those at, I believe, about $270. So if that is out of your budget range, that is totally fine. I think it's actually better to do reviews on products like this to see if it's worth your money, to spend that money. To me, I have found it to be a good investment because I've been using these lights for so long and they have had zero issues and they've made the tank look so much better. And as I'm talking here, I'll just show footage of tanks that have the AI Prime on them and you can kind of see how good they look. Some of these are my previous setups, some of them have been at local fish stores or fish room tours, and all the tanks that had the AI Primes, I noticed right away that they all had a great shimmer to them. And I think that's the biggest positive to this, is that it creates a great shimmer. All you need is a little bit of surface movement, a little bit of surface agitation, and you're gonna get that great shimmer across your entire tank. It's definitely what stands apart from a puck style light, and specifically with the AI Prime. So definitely the biggest pro to this light is that awesome shimmer that it provides. I think the second biggest is that it is super powerful. Like I showed earlier, the percentages on my lights were so low, and if I turned it all the way up, this thing could light up a massive tank in something that's very deep, or a very high-tech planted tank. This could really do everything you need from a lighting perspective. I think the third pro of this light is just it adds a dynamic outside of your aquarium, something people take for granted sometimes, but if you have the lights hanging above the tank or coming down from the ceiling, it is something that adds to the outside of the tank, makes it a really cool looking piece of furniture in your house. And I don't know how many times I've shown my tanks with the AI Prime 16s where people just comment and ask what the lighting is, and I'm just going to send them this video, but the reason they're asking is because the tank looks so great with that dynamic added above it, and you can see the difference inside the tank with that great shimmer and that great lighting. And I think pro number 4 about this light is that app that I showed. Before, this would have been on the con list because I did not like the AI Connect app, but the Mobius app has been really easy to use. It's a massive upgrade. Also, you may notice the Kessel Tuna Suns lights on this tank, which also look incredible, and that's something I could compare this light to. It's actually about $150 more than the AI Prime 16. I do love the Kessels, and I put them on the 150 here just to kind of test and see the difference before I had the AI Prime 16s on there, and I love both looks. I think both are great. The Kessels might have a little more power to it, but it is way less controllable. The app for Kessel is a disgrace, and you actually need to buy an extra chip and a K-Link to hang between the lights to control it all. It's a mess. I don't know why they do not have a good app, but AI Prime 16 kind of wins in that category of controllability. Pro number 5 about this light is its longevity and durability. I've used these lights on so many tanks for many years, probably up to 6 or 7 years for the oldest one. Never had a single issue, never had a light burnout, never had a problem. I've moved them around tanks and kind of banged them around and no issues whatsoever. It's a very durable, sturdy light that will not have any issues. So again, that investment that we talked about is paying for the long term with not only a good looking light, but one that won't break on you. And there's other LED lights out there that probably will break after a year or two if you're going on the cheaper route. So this could be a cheaper product in the long run if you don't have to keep replacing it. Next, we're going to go through some cons of this light and why it may not be for you. I know we already talked about budget and how it's a higher end option for lights. So if it's out of your budget range, that could be a con for sure. But I think also one thing to note is being a puck style light, you definitely have to notice where the brackets or the frame of your aquarium will be. So say you have a 55 gallon or 75 gallon tank with a brace going in the middle. If this light is hanging right in the middle, there will be a big shadow in your tank. So for something like a 55 or 75, you may need 2 puck style lights on the third points of the tank so that you do not have that shadow from the brace. And that would go for all puck style lights, not just the AI Prime 16, but it's definitely a consideration for your tank, is if you do have a 55 or 75, you may need 2 of these if you want to go this route, but for like a 40-gallon breeder, which may not have that middle brace, you could go with 1 of these. I actually think it's a perfect light for a 40-gallon breeder. I think it's a perfect light if you have like a 150 like I did, which was 5 foot by 2 by 2, and you could have 2 of these over that right in the middle, and you don't have to worry about the middle brace causing those shadows. And speaking of shadows, as I would say that's another con of this light potentially, is that you may have the upper corners of your tank not getting light if this is too low on your tank. So if you do put the goosenecks really low, or your hanging kit has the light really low, it likely won't reach the top right corners. It'll kind of have that downward light spectrum. So my 40-gallon breeder, again, I have the hanging light. It's pretty high up above the tank so that it eliminates any of the shadows on the upper corners. If I were to adjust and bring it down lower to the tank, those upper corners would be shadowed, and it could be a con for some people, but it could also be a positive for some people if that's a dynamic you want in the tank. Some fish, some cichlids, they actually prefer some spots in the tank where they can kind of get out of the bright light. Another potential con of this light is if you just don't want to use the app, then this isn't for you. I know my brother Alec has struggled with the lighting in the app. He just hasn't really dedicated the time to look into it and to dial it into his specifications. And he doesn't prefer the hanging style lights above the tank like I do, with that added dynamic. For me, is not something that he would like. So again, just keep that in consideration. This is only your opinion and what you need from an aquarium light, so I hope that's helpful. So given all those pros and cons, do I think this light is worth it? Well, judging by the title and the thumbnail and everything I've said, of course, it is my favorite aquarium light. I will continue to use this on a lot of tank setups in the future, and the current lights I have. I do think it is a great investment if you're looking for some of those qualities like that shimmer, the high intensity light, the app controllability, and the longevity of these lights. I think all of that makes it well worth giving it a try if you haven't already. So if you have any questions about this light, definitely leave those down in the comments. There will be more information in the description below, as well as the link to this if you're looking to buy one yourself. But I hope you found the video helpful. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.